Hello, Cosmic Fam, and welcome back to Moonlight News, where we pick up what the stars are putting down so you can navigate your life with clarity, confidence, and cosmic timing. I'm Laurel, and this is episode 2 of a new series I started, Tarot and Transits, where I translate the current transits through tarot so you can understand the energy as it's unfolding in real time. And we are officially in Taurus season. Aries was the spark, and now Taurus is asking, where are you going to invest your energy? The year of the fire horse began, followed by the spring equinox. So it's been a lot of closing out and restart kind of energy. Right after that, Saturn and Neptune moved into the sign of Aries, ushering in an epic Aries stellium that hasn't happened in over 9,000 years. So the energy that we're in right now, it's not small. We are beginning to move into a very specific energetic charge this week, with another major shift of the planet Uranus moving into the sign of Gemini. I've picked 4 tarot cards that I think personify this energy. So let's jump right into it. On April 20th, the Sun entered Taurus, and typically this is a season where things slow down. And they did simmer down a little bit. To personify this energy, I chose the Knight of Pentacles. This energy is committed, and it shows up with loyalty and devotion, which is important to sustain our momentum, especially when things aren't exciting anymore. Like when the other knights are off seeking new ventures, this knight stays back and takes care of the needs of the kingdom. The Knight of Pentacles is ready to do the work and see a thing through. Right when things start to settle down, something starts stirring up again because on April 24th, Venus enters the sign of Gemini, just 2 days before Uranus's big shift in the same sign. Venus in Gemini is going to make the landing of Uranus in Gemini feel way more comfortable. This energy is curious. It wants to explore and ask questions and seek connection through conversation and with people. It doesn't want to feel stuck or pressured. Note that. It wants to feel engaged, mentally stimulated, and alive. This energy wants excitement. So you may notice a shift in your conversations and your connections with people because something within you is starting to see things differently. So just as you're beginning to settle, the pressure hits. On April 25th, the Sun in Taurus will square Pluto in Aquarius. This transit creates pressure. Both Taurus and Aquarius are fixed signs, meaning that their energy is not easily moved or swayed. It's stubborn energy, making this an uncomfortable transit, because a square to Pluto is transformation through tension. This energy is creating tension between what feels familiar or where you may have gotten too comfortable in the Taurus area of your chart, with the part of your soul that's ready to evolve in the Aquarius area of your chart. This could feel like resistance or an internal power struggle, but it can also show up as a strong urge to clear something out of your life, and it could feel like a need to purge. The way you've been living and what you've been putting your energy into is being tested with this transit. So you may feel pushed to make changes in an area of your life that just isn't working anymore. This is usually unpleasant energy to work through, but a way that you can work with it is to notice the patterns your difficult moments are revealing to you. Because if something keeps showing up as friction, it's likely something that you've outgrown or just doesn't fit you anymore. And holding on to it only makes things feel heavier. So listen up. You out there struggling to let go. No pressure. Wink, wink. Pluto's got that covered. But seriously, when you're ready to release it, you're going to create space for something new to come in, something more aligned, more supportive, and more true to where you're going. Because Pluto is asking, is what you're choosing or building in Taurus season, is it in alignment with who you're becoming? The Knight of Pentacles is also a defender and a protector of what you're building, and it wants to make sure that it will sustain you over time. And now for the main attraction. On May 26th, Uranus will enter the sign of Gemini, and this is the biggest shift happening in the sky right now. Uranus enters Gemini and wakes you up with sudden or unexpected insights, perspectives, or new ideas. Your mind is no longer operating on the same level as it was before this shift. So you're not only inquisitive and receptive with the Venus and Gemini energy, your mind is also awakening with Uranus and Gemini. Gemini rules communication, information, learning, and networks. And Uranus is comfortable in this sign, so that accelerates its energy and brings in more moments of truth and clarity. This is where your mind starts opening up to possibilities you didn't see before. For this transit, I chose the Page of Swords. This is where your mind wakes up. The Page of Swords is curious and inquisitive energy. This card represents a new way of thinking, setting you on a mental path and awakening your journey. The last time Uranus was in Gemini, we get a glimpse of just how powerful this energy can be, but not necessarily to illustrate how history will repeat itself. I'm giving you this more for the idea of the kind of energy that we're working with, so you can recognize how this energy may be showing up for you. During 1942 to 1949, the world went through one of the most intense periods of transformation in history. We saw the devastation of the Holocaust, along with the end of World War II. But it didn't stop there. This was also the beginning of the atomic age, where communication, science, and technology reached a level of power humanity had never seen before. The first atomic bombs were developed and used during this time. The first modern computers were created, changing how information would be processed. And at the same time, entire global systems were being restructured. The United Nations was formed, and human rights were defined on a global scale. New nations were created and alliances were formed that would shape the world for decades. So the kind of shift Uranus and Gemini brings revolutionizes how information moves, how people think, and how societies organize themselves. On April 26th, Mercury in Aries squares Jupiter in Cancer. This energy adds an element of what may feel like mental overload. This is where your mind and thoughts are accelerating faster than you're able to keep up. This could feel like overstimulation that leads to emotional exhaustion. This energy also brings in fast thoughts, emotional reactions, and impulsive communication. Uranus entering Gemini builds on this energy because it's seeking progression. This is the kind of energy that pushes you to a breaking point, not to overwhelm you, but to show you what's no longer sustainable. Because sometimes you don't realize something needs to change until it feels like too much. And to illustrate this dynamic even more, I've chosen the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Cups cards. So there's been a slowdown in the Taurus area of your life, but right next door in Gemini, the energy is charged. Not to mention that we've just entered Taurus season with multiple planets still in Aries. So on both sides of Taurus, there's a kind of frenzy of activity. And Taurus is over there just wanting a break. But your mind and your heart are all worked up. There has been a progression from the Aries new beginning energy into the embodiment process of your chosen path in Taurus season. And now, with Uranus entering Gemini, your life and your community are responding. So the shifts happening outside of you, through your social networks, your conversations with people, and the messages coming in, will naturally create movement around you, a sort of buzz of activity, mentally and in your lived experience. The Eight of Wands personifies this connection between what is happening inside of you and the messages, momentum, and movement coming in from outside of you. And this is where it becomes undeniable. Because on May 1st, the full moon in Scorpio reaches its peak, and this is the energy of emotional release. You could say that this is the next hurdle on your journey, because as everything accelerates, you begin to feel more clear about what is and isn't aligned. With all the electricity and clarity coming in from Uranus and the pressure from the Mercury square with Jupiter, you may start to realize that you need to walk away from something in order to continue moving forward. This is where things become emotionally undeniable, and what you've been feeling under the surface will rise into your awareness, and you can't ignore it, because Scorpio energy goes deeper than preference. It looks at attachment. Not just what you like or what you're used to, but what you feel emotionally bound to. So this can be a pattern, a dynamic, a belief, or even a version of yourself that once made sense, but no longer reflects who you're becoming. And Scorpio doesn't just ask, what are you holding on to? It asks, why are you still attached to this? Is it because it's aligned or because it's familiar? Is it because it's growing with you or because it once made sense? And underneath all of that, what are you afraid will happen if you let it go? And what part of you is still tied to it emotionally? Because once you answer those questions, you don't see the situation differently. You see yourself differently. And when that happens, you can see clearly when it's time to move on. In true full moon fashion. This is where it all culminates. This full moon will bring in moments where you may realize that what you've invested in from the heart doesn't have a return. And instead of forcing it, you just walk away. So to bring this all together, we are now in an energetic space of embodiment during Taurus season. Venus and Uranus and Gemini will bring in new questions which will naturally accelerate the pace at which things develop, shifting your mindset and revolutionizing your choices. You are actively choosing the terms of this new way of life that you're beginning to walk in, and there is naturally going to be what translates as what you're walking away from. But what is actually happening is you're evolving in real time. You're being asked to build with intention, stay open to change, and trust what you're seeing, because the truths that are being revealed will reshape the way you look at, think about, and show up in the world. And although there are losses, this cycle isn't taking something from you. It's showing you what no longer fits the life that you're building. And if you want support navigating this, I do offer astrology readings, tarot readings, and hybrid sessions, where I break down your chart and what's unfolding for you personally. This channel isn't just about understanding the energy. It's about learning how to work with it. And the more aware you become, the more intentional your life begins to feel. So if this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll be back next week with the full moon in Scorpio. So until next time, stay grounded, stay aware, and remember, the universe has your back. I really hope you enjoyed that episode of Tarot and Transits. There was so much going on energetically that it was very hard to pick just 4 cards, but I think I did a good job to kind of represent all the momentum that we still have going, even though we're trying to ground. Okay, we're trying to build something. Okay, everything just needs to calm down. Nothing has to, oh my goodness. This energy is like, first we had that Aries stellium, all that craziness in Aries, like everything just getting lit up, the torch being lit from under everything. The main message I was really trying to get across is the movement that's happening, like with the Knights, and the 8 of Wands card is usually associated with fast movement, information coming in, downloads coming in. The real big deal happening though is Uranus and Gemini. When I look back at the last 6 or 7 years and everything that's happened in that time, I'm like, yeah, okay. So Uranus entered the sign of Taurus in May of 2018. So if you can think back to 2018 and what you were doing and where you were at during that time, Taurus deals with financial systems and what feels good, our values, what we value. It also has to do with our possessions and how we make money. It's a sign that's ruled by Venus, so a lot of those same things apply. I can remember many things that happened in 2018. I have my 10th house in Taurus, so there were so many shifts in jobs that were unexpected. I had a job that I thought was a job that would set me up for the long term that abruptly ended. I started, going to school, and I was almost finished with my program, and then COVID hit, and then I had to switch. I would try and do things and put all my effort into it, and then I worked somewhere else doing what I thought I loved, and then I ended up having to walk away from that too. So there was a lot of just up and down, and things would just change just quickly and unexpectedly, and it isn't what I would have wanted. But here I am, doing what I was meant to do. So in that regard, I'm grateful. And it's a good example of how, whenever you're going through these kinds of shifts, that it's really just kind of bringing you more into alignment with who you're meant to be. And it's hard to see that when you're in the middle of it. That's another reason why I think it's important to talk about the energy and to understand what's happening, so that we don't kind of get caught up in feeling like we're being attacked all the time. Now Uranus is going into Gemini. That's our mind just popping off. That's basically the mental equivalent of the Aries stellium with Uranus going into Gemini. The good news is, though, that Uranus likes to be in Gemini. That's the good news. That's the good news. What I'm not looking forward to is the square to Aquarius. I'm tired of squares to my Aquarius. The Sun in Taurus just immediately squaring something. It's supposed to be my birthday. It's my birthday month, and you want to bring in a square? You want to bring in a square when I'm supposed to be relaxing, and then you want to bring in Uranus and Gemini? All the energy just has to be up in the air, and I'm just trying to relax, okay, guys? I'm just trying to take a break, and all this Aries energy is like lighting a fire under my behind, and then all this Gemini energy is pulling my thoughts this way, and I really just want to like chill, just chill out. And I can't. There are too many things. I don't have time for any of it. We also still have fire energy going on with the Aries stellium activation that happened not that long ago. It was like last week. So there is still a lot of fire. There's fire, there's earth, now there's air, and then we're going to culminate with the full moon in Scorpio. So it is kind of an arc where we're going through these elements, and it's going through processes and understanding how to integrate our energy with the process of energetic frequency that's all around us in a way that we're flowing with it instead of like beating up against it or crashing up against it. That's just how I see it. That's why I think it's so important to do these videos and to kind of help people understand like how to recognize what's available to them energetically and how they can move through it. I've always really felt connected to tarot, which was a little bit shocking for me as a Christian. It really did kind of scare me at first. I'm not only drawn to them, but like they felt like something special to me. And I kind of always had just a respect and a reverence for it. Jupiter in Cancer. I'm going to bring that up because this evening, it's the 23rd as I'm recording this, the day, I think, of that shift. The moon is in Cancer. The moon is in Cancer with Jupiter. So if you're noticing people have more emotional outbursts or be more emotionally sensitive, it might be because of this square to Jupiter in Cancer. I don't think we like to be confronted with things deep inside of us that we're just trying to push down, and water energy tends to do that. The Jupiter in Cancer transit has been doing that also, has been really getting deep in there, trying to heal things from generations, planting seeds for home and family life. It's been doing some deep work at our foundations and at our emotional core. Mercury in Aries is squaring Jupiter in Cancer. So that's confrontational energy. That's Aries confrontational energy in a way. Now, the fact that Jupiter is in Cancer does make that Cancer energy stronger than Mercury, obviously, but there's still that dynamic. Then we're having that full moon in Scorpio, which is also a water sign. So there are things coming up. And it makes sense that as we're healing emotionally, as we're healing at our emotional core and confronting things in that area of our life, full moon and Scorpio energy comes in and says, okay, this is what we're letting go of now. This is baggage we no longer need to carry. Scorpio is also about boundaries, but it is also about attachment. Scorpio energy likes to remain hidden in the dark. It's very protective, and it can be obsessive. So there are things within this space of ourselves, wherever Scorpio is in your chart. Scorpio happens to be in my 4th house, which is ruled by Cancer. So I know that this is going to be kind of a layered purging. It's working with what's happening with Jupiter and Cancer. That's what I hoped to put together, the piece I was trying to put together. Like there's something happening over here with Jupiter and Cancer that's going to be working with what's happening with this full moon in Scorpio, because of them both being water signs. That's the fascinating thing to me about astrology, is how everything works together, which is the main reason why I don't like horoscopes, because it's so one-dimensional. So we are still having big things happening. Big things are happening all the time. I understand if you would need a break. If you're like, oh my gosh, could we just have a break from this fucking gigantic energy? No. No, we can't. We got to keep going, keep growing, keep moving, keep shaking. And in the meantime, I have this here. I have a Hyo. This is Hyo. Sorry, excuse the lipstick stain. This is a peach mango social tonic. This is not sponsored, but I love these. I was talking to somebody like, what do you do to relax? Like, what do you do to recharge your battery? And I'm bringing that up because of the water energy activation that's happening with Jupiter in Cancer and the full moon in Scorpio, and how there's that major healing happening and then this purging process that's going to be activated at the full moon. So whatever it is you need to do to kind of get yourself in a space where you feel like you can safely and comfortably, without judgment or pressure, just release what needs to go right now. As the planets are moving into Gemini, and as those two squares are happening, it's going to create tension for us, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. So we might want to, especially leading up to a Scorpio full moon, it might be something that you just are really going to want to hide from. You might feel vulnerable or exposed. So whatever you need to do to prepare for that, so you can make sure that you have the space to sit with this energy in a way that's intentional and productive for you, instead of you feeling like you're getting the crap beat out of you by life. Because these kinds of transits can feel like that. And it's been feeling like that. Like, that's part of the reason why I brought up the stuff about we did this, we had the eclipses, and then the fire horse, and then the 9,000 year transit, every 9,000 years transit. Like, there's been so much going on. This Scorpio energy will be a good time for us, though, to kind of release, let go of some of that emotional pressure, so we can keep going on this journey and we can keep shining bright. So I hope you all have a good full moon. I will be back next week with the full moon in Scorpio. Remember that also Scorpio rules the 8th house of death and transformation. So this is kind of like a little baby opportunity for transformation. Like, after the full moon in Scorpio, you're going to be a little more transformed into that, aligned version of your higher self. You're going to be a little bit closer. So that's a good way to think of it. But you kind of got to go through the test first. You got to go through the little bit of the challenge first. And then after that, you're going to come out and you're going to be like the butterfly outside of the cocoon. Because what's happening after the full moon in Scorpio is the new moon in Taurus. And that's a fun time. That's a happy time. That's like a Dionysus time, eat, drink, and be merry. By that time, we will be in the Uranus and Gemini. Some of the energy from Aries is going to dissipate. And then we're going to feel really social with what's going on with Gemini, Uranus and Gemini. So it's going to be a happier time. What else? Just kidding. We're going to have a full moon in Sagittarius after the full moon in Scorpio. So we're going to have a little bit of a time where we are going to, enjoy ourselves a little more. And then, with the Sagittarius energy, that sounds like fun. And then we're going to go right back to the seriousness. But I'm just trying to let you know that after this full moon in Scorpio, we should be able to have a little bit more fun.